It started like any other calm weekday morning on the set of Lorraine. The studio lights were glowing warm, the team hustling with their usual pre-show energy, and viewers at home expected the typical mix of celebrity gossip and heartfelt stories. But this day was different. The guest list included Meghan Markle. This was her first UK daytime appearance since stepping back from royal duties, and expectations were sky high. Meghan's team had carefully negotiated the appearance. There were supposed to be no gotcha moments, and Lorraine was briefed to focus on Meghan's recent charity work and upcoming projects. But Lorraine Kelly, a seasoned journalist with decades of television experience, was not known for pulling punches. Meghan walked onto the set in a tailored cream suit, sleek bun, and subtle diamond studs. She greeted Lorraine with a measured smile and a gentle, "Good morning," before settling into the plush gray interview chair. "Meghan," Lorraine began, her signature Scottish lilt polite but firm, "it's good to see you back in the UK. How are you feeling about being here today?" "I'm happy to be here," Meghan replied, her tone carefully composed. "I've missed the warmth of the British people, and it feels good to talk about the work I'm passionate about, especially women's rights and mental health." The conversation started smoothly, with clips of Meghan's recent visit to a girls' school and her involvement in a documentary on motherhood. But as the segment progressed, Lorraine's questions began to subtly shift. "You've spoken out many times about feeling unheard within the royal family," Lorraine said, flipping to a new card. "But do you ever consider that your repeated public criticism might be, at times, alienating the very people you say you're trying to reach?" Meghan's smile faltered. "I speak out because silence was part of the problem. Telling my truth isn't about blame, it's about healing. Not just for me, but for others who don't have a platform." Lorraine nodded but didn't soften. "But do you think perhaps people are growing weary? Some critics say your story is being repeated more than it evolves." The air in the studio cooled. Meghan's eyes narrowed slightly. "I think people grow weary of injustice, not the telling of it." A small, tense pause. Lorraine pressed on. "But isn't there a difference between highlighting injustice and turning it into a brand? Forgive me, but many viewers have expressed that your narrative often overshadows more pressing global issues." Meghan leaned forward, tone firm. "I'm sorry, but I have to push back on that. I've spent the last 3 years doing real work, on the ground, away from cameras. I don't control the tabloids or the clickbait. And frankly, Lorraine, I didn't come here to be interrogated under the guise of curiosity." That was the moment the tone shifted completely. Lorraine's expression went from professional to visibly perturbed. "With respect, Meghan, this is not an interrogation. But if you're going to use your platform, you should expect tough questions, just like anyone else who sits in that chair." Meghan stood abruptly. The movement was graceful, but her face showed thinly veiled anger. "This is why women hesitate to speak out. Because when they do, they're told they're making it all about themselves." "You're welcome to speak, Meghan," Lorraine said sharply. "But not above criticism. This show isn't a PR stop, it's a platform for real conversation." Without another word, Meghan unclipped her mic and strode off camera. The crew froze. Gasps echoed across the studio, and even the producers seemed stunned. Lorraine sat motionless for a second, then straightened her cue cards with a cold sigh. "Well," she muttered into the stunned silence, "that's one way to end an interview." The fallout from the dramatic walk-off was instant and thunderous. Within minutes, #Meghan storms out and #Lorraine confronts Meghan were trending across social media. Clips of the exchange, uploaded by viewers and tabloids alike, garnered millions of views before the Lorraine show had even gone off air. Media outlets scrambled to get reactions, and Twitter turned into a digital coliseum, half the audience cheering Lorraine for standing up for real journalism, the other half condemning her for ambushing a guest under the guise of tough questions. Backstage, Lorraine sat quietly in her dressing room, sipping tea as her producer briefed her. "We've already got 3 networks requesting interviews about the incident," he said. "Everyone's talking about it." Lorraine raised an eyebrow. "I asked her the same kinds of questions I ask everyone. If she expected a red carpet and softballs, she came to the wrong place." Meanwhile, Meghan's camp wasted no time. Within an hour, her publicist released a carefully worded statement. Meghan came onto the show in good faith, expecting a thoughtful discussion. Instead, she was met with a confrontational tone and loaded questions that disregarded the work she came to highlight. She will not be engaging further. That only fueled the fire. Morning talk shows picked up the drama instantly. On This Morning, Philip Schofield said, "It was bound to happen." You don't go on Lorraine's show and expect a PR puff piece. She calls it like she sees it. Piers Morgan, predictably, tweeted, "Well done Lorraine for not kissing Meghan's feet." At last, someone had the guts to say what we're all thinking. But not everyone was on Lorraine's side. Feminist commentators and mental health advocates criticized the tone of the interview. "You can be a journalist and still be respectful," said author and activist Jamila Rafik in a viral Instagram reel. This wasn't accountability, it was veiled hostility. Meghan has been torn apart by the British press for years. She doesn't owe anyone constant resilience. By mid-afternoon, the show's network was facing pressure from both directions, praise for Lorraine's hard stance and complaints about her aggressive posture. Rumors even surfaced that Meghan might cancel her remaining UK media appearances. The next morning, Lorraine opened her show by addressing the elephant in the room. "I've been in this chair for over 3 decades, she began, looking directly into the camera. "I've interviewed survivors of war, abuse, addiction, people who've suffered in silence and those who've spoken out loudly. I treat every guest with professionalism and curiosity, not cruelty. But I won't pretend the truth is soft when it's not." She continued, "I respect Meghan's right to her story, absolutely. But the public also has a right to clarity and honesty. When you speak on behalf of causes, you invite questions, not attacks, but real, respectful questions. If that's too much for someone, maybe live interviews aren't the right format." The studio audience gave a quiet, supportive clap. But behind the scenes, the PR storm continued. Meghan remained uncharacteristically silent. No new Instagram posts, no podcast episode, no leaks from anonymous sources. Just silence, a calculated move, many believed, to let the media frenzy burn itself out. But speculation mounted. Would Meghan respond? Would she go on Oprah again? Release another documentary? By the end of the week, a new headline emerged. Meghan Markle cancels upcoming UK events, returns to California early. Lorraine, unfazed, carried on with her usual programming. But producers quietly noticed a spike in ratings, not just in the UK, but in the US as well. For better or worse, the confrontation had drawn a line in the sand.